Hi guys, please like, share and subscribe and contact this number if you want full lectures of any CM or CS subjects. Thank you. Okay, now let's just get into Arrow-Pratt measures of absolute and relative risk aversion. Okay, so far we have seen risk aversion being modeled in terms of certainty equivalence, as we saw in the last section. Now I want to get some mathematical measures to measure absolute and relative risk aversion. So these are called as the Arrow-Pratt measures, and the absolute risk aversion is measured like this, which is the negative of the second derivative of the utility function with respect to the wealth divided by the first derivative. And when you want to calculate the relative risk aversion, you just multiply it with the amount of wealth. Okay, so these are the two formulas that you have to know. Now, how do you say whether the risk aversion is increasing, decreasing, or constant? It's just common sense. Once you have these measures, you take the first derivative. If the absolute risk aversion, the first derivative is positive, that is, it's greater than zero. That means that the risk aversion is increasing. The absolute risk aversion is increasing with increase in wealth, right? If it is zero, then it is constant. If it is negative, then it is uh, decreasing. Okay, same is true for relative risk aversion, just that you'll be using the measure for relative risk aversion, which is this. Okay, so that is the idea. So this is very simple. We'll see a couple of questions on this when we get into the types of the utility functions, which is the next section. But before that, in practice, how does risk aversion and investment choice, how do these two relate? So can you just observe the investment choice of an investor and say whether he is uh, exhibits an increasing, decreasing, what sort of risk aversion exists in terms of absolute and relative risk aversion? So investors who hold an increasing absolute amount of wealth in risky assets as they get wealthier exhibit declining absolute risk aversion. So if my wealth increases and I the wealth is increasing and I'm holding more and more risky assets, I'm holding more risky assets in absolute terms in money value. Okay, more risky assets in money value or absolute terms. Okay, then what does this mean? This means that as my wealth increases, I'm getting less risk averse or I'm getting less afraid, right? Because I'm holding more risky asset. So this shows a declining absolute risk aversion. Okay, the other case is that if the investor holds increasing proportion of wealth in risky assets. Okay, proportion, this time we are talking about proportion, not the value. Okay, in risky assets, as he gets wealthier, they exhibit a declining relative risk aversion. Obviously, if my wealth increases and I proportionally hold a larger amount of wealth in risky assets, so proportion of risky assets increases. Then I have a declining relative risk aversion. Again, quite intuitive, because relative risk aversion just talks about the proportion of wealth that you hold in risky assets, or the proportionate amount of risk that you take. Okay, so if I'm taking more risk, then my risk aversion is declining, obviously. Okay, in practice, it is often assumed that, okay, and this is true in this sense, if I hold less risky assets as my wealth increases, if wealth increases and I hold less risky assets, then it means increasing absolute risk aversion, obviously. So if I have less, if this is less, then you can say this is increasing. Okay, and in this case as well, if you have okay, increases, so this is the case, and if it decreases, then I have an increasing relative risk aversion. So both the cases hold. Okay, If I hold higher, lower proportion of wealth in risky assets, okay, it decreases. Then I have a increasing relative risk aversion. So this is true. There's no problem with this. Now, what happens in reality? What do we observe in reality? In practice, it is often assumed that as wealth increases, so the absolute amount of typical investor is willing to invest in risky assets will increase. So as people get richer, they are more likely to invest more amount of money in risky assets. This is observed in real world, and this is what we assume practically. Okay, so we assume an absolute risk aversion which decreases. Okay, decreasing absolute risk aversion is assumed, because as you get richer you will be willing to invest more in risky assets. Relative risk aversion, it depends a lot on the investor's attitude, so you can't assume, but this is something which is usually assumed. This is a typical assumption that we take. Okay, this is quite intuitive. Okay, so yeah, this was my discussion on absolute and relative risk aversion. Let's now get into the types of utility functions that. Okay, so now I'll get into some common utility functions and what do I mean by monotonic transformation. So here in this section, what I'm going to do is I'm going to discuss some popular types of utility function which model a certain kind of investor preferences, a certain kind of risk aversion, okay, absolute and relative. So we'll discuss different types of utility functions, but before that I want to discuss with you the concept of monotonic transformation, which is not given in the material. It's a concept we usually use in microeconomics. Okay, so what do I mean by monotonic transformation? A monotonic transformation of a utility or of a utility function is an transformation that preserves the preference ordering. Okay, let me describe. What do I mean by this? The example of this, let me just first write the examples. The example is adding or subtracting a constant. Okay, the second one is multiplying with a positive constant. So multiplying with a positive constant. Uh, Next one is logarithmic transformation. Okay, so log, and the last one is exponential. Okay, these are a few example of monotonic transformations. So what do I mean by this? Let's say you have a utility function u of w. Okay, and it represents a certain type of preference ordering. Let's say, and now I am going to start. Okay, so I have listed these form of monotonic transformation. I am going to start giving you examples of utility functions. So the first type of example I am giving is of a quadratic utility function, and this is from the material. Okay, so a quadratic utility function is of the form aw square plus bw plus c. Okay, u of w is given by this, right? This is your u of w. So now what would be a monotonic transformation of this? As they have done it in the material, they have added a constant or subtracted a constant from it and divided it by a positive constant, and I'll show you how it preserves the preference ordering and what do I mean by this. Okay, so bear with me. So let's just say I transform this into in a way where I subtract c from this, okay, and I divide it by b. So u of w minus c divided by b. Okay, what does this lead to? So this will be this will look like a by b w square plus w, and let us just call this function as v of w. Okay, and in fact this a by b I'm going to write this as d now. Okay, so let us say this is dw square plus w. This is your v of w. Now this utility function represents v of w, this utility function v of w represents the same preference ordering as u of w. What do I mean by that? I just mean that if as per this utility function some wealth will be more preferred to another, okay, this is an increasing function of w. Okay, so if this investor prefers the wealth in a certain way, this investor will also prefer the wealth in the same way. Why? Because this is a monotonic transformation of this. Okay, let me just demonstrate. So if, okay, I'm not demonstrating, I'll just give you a certain hint here. Okay, because we don't need to get into the depth of this. So the idea is that if I'll calculate u of 1100, okay, if the wealth is 1100, it would be higher than u of 1000, and it would be true for this one as well. Here v of 1100 will be higher than v of 1000. So the preference ordering is preserved even if I apply a monotonic transformation. Okay, which can be like adding or subtracting a constant, multiplying a positive constant, taking a logarithm, or putting the function into the power of an exponential. So you have to believe me on this one, and this is the utility function we'll be dealing with now. So this is my standard form of a quadratic utility function, which is, let us just now call it v of w. V of w is equal to dw square plus w. Okay, now this is the utility function that the material works with. Okay, now if I want to check the marginal utility here, so it would be v dash w, so it would be equal to 2dw plus 1. Okay, this will be your marginal utility. Okay, and if I'll check the second derivative, v double dash w, it would be equal to what? 2d. Okay, now these are the measures which will be used to characterize the preferences, or the nature of the preference of this investor. So let us just assume, as we do generally, that this investor is a risk averse investor. Let's just say that this guy is a risk averse investor. Okay, if I say this guy is a risk averse investor, what does that mean? That means that v double dash w, that is the second derivative of utility with wealth, is negative. Okay, that is what I meant by risk averse, that the second derivative of utility is negative. You can go back and check, right? So if this is negative, that just means that 2d, this quantity, is negative, which just implies that d is negative. Okay, this is one thing that I could conclude by saying that this person is a risk averse investor. Second thing I know is that the marginal utility is always positive, marginal utility of wealth. So v dash w is what? This 2dw plus 1. Okay, so this is always positive. Okay, marginal utility of wealth is always positive, which would imply that 2dw plus 1 is greater than 0, which would imply that 1 is greater than minus 2dw. So this would imply that minus half is greater than, is less than dw. Now you know d is a negative quantity. Okay, so I multiplied this with minus 2. I divided this with minus 2 on both sides, so the sign changed. Now d is also a negative quantity, so if I'll take it to the other side, the sign will change again. So it would mean that minus 1 upon 2d, sign changes. Okay, is greater than w. So this is the consideration, that w has to be less than minus 1 upon 2d and has to be greater than minus infinity. Okay, this is the only condition where this quadratic utility function will exhibit non-satiation, which is an essential property for a utility function. So you want non-satiation, so this will only be true in this range, and that is why your W should be less than minus 1 upon 2D. Okay, this is a like a must. This must hold. Okay, and that is why a quadratic utility function is only valid in this range. So if you'll draw the graph of this, okay, what does the utility function look like? A utility function is this, right? dw square plus w. So if you'll see, it's a quadratic function, right? So up from minus infinity, okay, all the way up till you know, what was that number, minus 1 upon 2 d, till this number it's increasing. After that it will start decreasing, right? And at 0 the value is 0, obviously. What am I drawing here? I'm drawing here v of w. Okay, so till here it would look like quadratic like this, and after this it would start falling. Okay, so it would fall after this, right? So not this steeply, but yeah, it would fall, it would fall. Okay, yeah, so this is the only range where this utility function is valid, and that is what you must note. Okay, so yeah, this is your w, and here you have got v of w. Okay, so yeah, this is one of the questions that they've given. How do you draw this? What does this look like? Okay, let's move on. Now, if I want to calculate the absolute risk aversion, as we saw in the last section, how will you calculate? Uh, the way to calculate that is negative of v dash w divided by v double dash w, right? So it would just be minus, uh, sorry, negative of minus v double dash w divided by v dash w, right? So it would just be equal to minus 2d divided by 1 plus 2dw, right? This will be your answer, right? This is your absolute risk aversion for the quadratic utility function. Okay, and what would be your a dash w? A dash w will be equal to the derivative of this, right? So if I take the derivative of this with respect to w, it would just become, just to check whether this person shows an increasing or a decreasing absolute risk aversion. Okay, so that's what we are trying to do here. So if you take a derivative again, it would just become minus 2d is a constant in the numerator. This will just become 1 plus 2dw and to the power of 2, right? And okay, and a minus 1 will come out, and the coefficient of w will come out, that is 2d. Okay, so this will just become 4d divided by, oh sorry, 4d square divided by 1 plus 2dw whole square. So this is greater than 0, so that this means that this exhibits uh, a positive absolute risk aversion. Okay, that is, sorry, an increasing absolute risk aversion. So as the wealth increases, the absolute risk aversion also increases. Okay, which is not very logical in real world. And what would be r of w? R of w will be just this term divided by a of w multiplied with w. So it would be minus 2dw divided by 1 plus 2dw, right? And if you take a, so if you remember r of w, the formula was v double dash w divided by v of w divided by v dash w, the negative of it and multiplying a w, right? This is the formula, right? So yeah, so you have this, and now you take r dash w to check whether the relative risk aversion is increasing or decreasing. Okay, so yeah, how do you differentiate this now? So you have to apply the quotient rule. So it would just become 1 plus 2 dw. In the numerator it would just be negative of, or I'll just take the negative sign with this term only. So it would be minus 2d multiplied with 1 plus 2 dw minus 1 plus 2dw. The derivative of this is actually equal to 2d and multiplied with minus 2dw. Okay, so this is what you have got, and obviously this will be squared, right? So that's how you take the derivative. And now if you see this, this is just equal to, this term will be positive, this term will be negative, it will just cancel out, and you will just be left with minus 2d, okay, divided by 1 plus 2dw whole squared. So this term in the denominator will be positive. Okay, if you see the numerator, d, we remember, because there was this person was risk averse, d is less than 0, so this whole term will be positive. Okay, this is positive, this is also positive, this is also positive. So what does this mean? This means that we have a increasing absolute and relative risk aversion. Okay, so next type of utility function that you have got is called as a log utility function. Here u of w is equal to simply log of w. Now this is an example of constant relative risk aversion. This we have seen before, but yeah, let's just do the calculations. So u dash w will be what? It would be equal to 1 upon w. Okay, and what is u double dash w? That will be equal to, take the derivative of this, minus 1 upon w square. Okay, and yeah, does this satisfy non-satiation? Yes, because u dash w is greater than 0. Does this satisfy risk aversion? Yes, because this is negative, because wealth will always be positive, right? So this is negative, so this means non-satiation, right? So that makes it a valid utility function. See, for a valid utility function, you have to have non-satiation. And yeah, this property makes this investor a risk-averse investor, which is our usual assumption. It's not necessary for a utility function or an investor, but we usually assume that it is, and this one satisfies it, which is great, amazing. Now, what is your absolute risk aversion measure? A dash W. It's just minus of u double dash w divided by u of w, u dash w, sorry. So it would be minus 1 upon w square, the negative of this, divided by 1 upon w. So the answer will be just 1 upon w. And what would be your relative risk aversion measure? R of w. This is not a dash w, this is a of w. Okay, r of w is just a of w multiplied with w, so this will be equal to 1. Okay, so yeah, that is what it is. This is an example of a constant relative risk aversion, I told you. See, so r of w comes out to be a constant. Okay, and if I see a dash w, this will turn out to be minus 1 upon w square, which will be negative, which means that we have got a negative absolute risk aversion, and r dash w is equal to 0, which means you have a constant relative risk aversion. So I will write both. It's declining or decreasing absolute risk aversion, which is something very logical. Very rich people, they tend to keep more of their wealth into risky assets. So as they grow richer, their risk appetite in absolute terms, the amount of money they want to put into risky asset increases. So this is very logical. And here you have got a constant relative risk aversion, because this is a function of the CRRA form. Okay, so this is what you have got. Moving on, what do you have next? So I'm going to discuss the next type of utility function with you, that is called as the power utility function. This is another type of utility function which exhibits CRRA, that is constant relative risk aversion. I'm going to talk about this family of utility function after I discuss the power utility function, and I'm going to tell you the link between the power utility function and the log utility function. So here u of w is of the form w to the power of gamma minus 1 divided by gamma. This is the form of this function. Okay. Now if this is the form, let's just see what are the considerations here. U dash w, if I'll try to find it, what would it be equal to? So if you take a derivative, it just becomes gamma w to the power of gamma minus 1, okay, divided by gamma, and gamma will cancel out. It just becomes w to the power of gamma minus 1. Okay, and this has to be positive because this will always be positive because w is positive, so there is no problem with this. So this always exhibits non-satiation, right? We can always conclude that the utility, marginal utility, is positive, so it always exhibits non-satiation, which means that investor wants more wealth always as compared to less wealth. Okay. Now you take the second derivative, it just becomes gamma minus 1 w to the power of gamma minus 2. Okay. Now I want this to be negative for a risk averse investor. For a risk averse investor, this would be negative, right? So for this to happen, what would be the consideration? Gamma minus 1 w to the power of gamma minus 2, this should be negative, right? This whole term, this part will always be negative, but this number gamma minus 1 will be negative, meaning that gamma minus 1 is negative, means that gamma is less than 1. So if gamma is less than 1, then you have a risk averse investor. Okay. Now we'll check for the measures of risk aversion, which is absolute risk aversion and relative risk aversion. So for absolute risk aversion, what is it? Second derivative divided by the first derivative and the negative of it. So it would just become gamma minus 1. If I take the negative, it would just become 1 minus gamma. Okay. So I'm writing it directly. And this would be uh, divided by W. And the relative risk aversion would be a constant, as I told you. If you multiply this with W, you'll get 1 minus gamma. Okay. So since gamma is less than 1, this is, if you'll see, it is 1 minus gamma. This is positive and this is also positive. So you've got positive for both of these, and then if I take the first derivative of these two, so a dash w, that is the derivative of absolute risk aversion will turn out to be 1 minus gamma divided by w square and the negative of it. So this is negative. Okay, which means this sort of utility function exhibits a negative absolute risk aversion. Okay, which is what we expect, because not negative absolute risk aversion, a declining absolute risk aversion, which is what we expect. Why? Because if the investor gets richer, he would want to invest more amount of money in risky assets. Okay, so his risk aversion will decline with increase in wealth, in absolute terms. In relative terms, r dash w will be equal to 0, which means constant relative risk aversion. So let me write both of these things. This is declining or decreasing absolute risk aversion, and a constant relative risk aversion. these two things, both of them are same as what it used to be in the log utility function case. So these two functions are actually related. This power utility function, which is of the form u of w is equal to w to the power of gamma minus 1 divided by gamma, it's very much related to this function which is log of w. Now what is the relation between the two? The relation is that if you take a limit gamma tends to 0 on this utility function, it becomes same as this. So this log w is a special case of constant relative risk aversion utility function, which are also called as isoelastic utility function. So you can Google for this, you will find a Wikipedia article on this isoelastic utility function, which are all of this form. Okay, uh, this is a special case of this. Okay, uh, both of these exhibit CRRA, that is constant relative risk aversion, and when gamma tends to 0, this becomes log w. Okay, so that is the relationship between the two. Now why are these called as isoelastic utility function? Because the elasticity of the marginal utility of wealth is a constant in these cases. Okay, the elasticity of the marginal utility of wealth is constant in both of these cases. How do you measure the elasticity of marginal utility of wealth? It's the negative of u double dash w divided by u dash w multiplied with w, which is nothing but our measure for relative risk aversion. And this term turns out to be a constant, which is just 1 minus gamma. So if you had seen in this case, your relative risk aversion turned out to be 1 minus gamma, and if you make gamma tend to 0, your relative risk aversion would just become 1, which was the case of log utility. Okay, so yeah, in both these cases this term is constant, which is same as the elasticity of marginal utility of wealth, or which is also called as the measure for relative risk aversion, right? Let's move on. Okay, now let's just look at this question. Very straightforward. Suppose that investor A has a power utility function with gamma is equal to 1, whilst investor B has power utility function while with gamma is equal to 0.5. Which investor is more risk averse? That is the first question, assuming obviously that the wealth is positive. So what are the utility functions? Let's call it UA of W. So for the first guy, it would just be, so the general form of power utility function is what? W to the power of uh, gamma minus 1 divided by gamma, right? This is your form. So in this case, it would be W to the power of 1 minus 1 divided by 1. Okay. So W minus 1, simply speaking. UB of W will be equal to what? W to the power of half minus 1 divided by half, which would be multiplied with 2, right? Dividing by half is same as multiplying with 2. Okay, now in order to check within which investor is more risk averse, what do? You have to find the risk aversion of both the investors, right? Absolute and relative, we'll compare both. Okay, so for this guy it would be AAW, absolute risk aversion. Okay, so if I write investor A here, then I don't need to write this A. Okay, to make it clear, investor B. Right, so A of W, what will it be? The derivative of this, which is what? 1. Okay, and R of W will be equal to what? Uh, so let me just, sorry, this is wrong. It would be U dash A W, U double dash A W, negative of U double dash A W divided by U dash A W, right? This is what it would be. So if you take the first derivative, U dash A W, what would it be? 1. u double dash a w, what would it be? 0. Clear? Fine. Once you have this, what would be risk aversion? 0. First, it would be 0. 0 divided by 1. And relative risk aversion would be absolute risk aversion divided by w. Sorry, multiplied with w. Again 0. So both relative and absolute risk aversion are 0. In this case, what would it be? A of w would be, let's take the derivative first. U dash b w would be equal to what? Uh, if you take a derivative, 2 into half w to the power of minus half. Okay. And u double dash b w, this and this cancels out, would be minus half w to the power of minus 3 by 2. Okay. So if you calculate a w, absolute risk aversion in this case, what would it be? It would be negative of minus half w to the power of minus 3 by 2 divided by w to the power of half, minus half, sorry. Right. So this would be equal to, minus and minus will cancel out. It would be 1 upon 2w. Right. And if you take r of w, it would just be half, because it is just aw multiplied with w. Okay. So now the question is, which investor is more risk averse? Whoever has the higher absolute and relative risk aversion. So we know that this absolute risk aversion is greater than 0. Here it is 0. In case of investor B, it is greater than 0 because W is positive. Okay. In the other case as well, relative risk aversion is also higher in this case. So what can I say? I can say that the investor B is more risk averse. Okay. Fine. Suppose investor B has an initial wealth of 100 and is offered an opportunity to buy an investment X for 100, which has an equal chance of payout of 110 or 92. Will the investor B choose to buy investment X? That is the question they're asking. Uh, so this guy has an initial wealth of 100 and has to buy an investment putting in all of his wealth. Okay, so putting in 100 itself, in which case he would either have 110 or 92. So you will have to see whether his utility after purchasing this investment would be higher or not. Okay, expected utility. So what is the utility of 100 for investor B? Okay, what is the utility of having 100 pounds? Let's just see that first. It would be equal to 100 to the power of half minus 1 divided by half, or you could have multiplied with 0.2, so divided by 0.5. Utility is 18. Okay, what is the expected utility? So utility when he doesn't take, when the investment is not taken. Okay, what is the expected utility when investment is taken? What is the expected utility in that case? It would be equal to so let me calculate on the calculator itself. 110 or 92 with equal probabilities, right? So either he gets 110, this is the utility, you just multiply it with 0.5, plus the other case is 92 to the power of half minus 1 divided by 0.5 and multiplied with 0.5. Actually, dividing and multiplying with 0.5 is pointless, but I am doing it anyway, just to make it clear. So in this case, it is 18.0797. So taking the investment, the utility of this investor is higher. Okay. So he will take the investment. He will invest in this asset. Okay. So B will buy investment X. Okay, that is your answer. B will buy investment X. All right, let's move on. Okay, let's look at this question. Here you have got U of W is equal to minus e to the power of minus AW, and you have to find the measures for absolute and relative risk aversion and comment on the desire of the investor to hold risky assets as his wealth grows. Okay, so what would be U dash W? U dash W will be equal to A e to the power of minus AW. U double dash W will be equal to negative of A square e to the power of minus AW. So what is absolute risk aversion? A of W will be equal to negative of U double dash W divided by U dash W. So it would be equal to A. Okay. This is your AW. And what is relative risk aversion? It's AW. Okay. It's just absolute risk aversion multiplied with W. Now, absolute risk aversion seems to be a constant. That is A dash W is equal to 0. So, as the wealth grows, the investor holds the same amount of risky assets in absolute terms. The money value of the risky assets held by the investor are exactly the same. Okay, is exactly the same. Uh, as for relative, in relative terms, as a proportion of his wealth, R dash W will be equal to what? A. It's equal to what? A. So what does this mean? This means that the investor has a desire to hold sorry, first thing, R dash W is greater than 0. So it just shows that because here it's clearly mentioned that A is greater than 0. So you have an increasing relative risk aversion. Okay, so as the wealth grows, the relative risk aversion also increases. If the relative risk aversion increases with increase in wealth, in proportionate terms or in relative terms, the investor is becoming more risk averse with increase in wealth. As he is getting richer, he is uh, getting more risk averse. So he will hold a decreasing proportion of risky assets in his wealth. So in proportionate term, obviously the assets would be less risky assets would be held, and in absolute terms the same amount of risky assets would be held, which are both consistent. Okay, which just mean the same thing, that you will be holding the same amount of risky assets, but since the wealth is growing, the proportion of risky assets will go down. So that is what we'll write. The investor will hold same value of risky assets in absolute terms, meaning that, which implies that the proportion of wealth held in risky assets reduces as the investor grows richer. Okay, so this is the idea, and that's all for this video.